Hi everyone, my name is Elizabeth. Thank you so much for joining me today. This is my Flosstube channel, Savory Sewing, where I talk mainly about cross stitching, sometimes other sewing related things, and anything else that I like, really. Today is Sunday, August 20th, 2023. This is my third Flosstube video. Anyone who is returning, thank you so much for coming back. I hope that you enjoy this video and keep coming back. And for anybody new, welcome. So nice to have you here. I have two other videos out so far. This is going to be probably more in the style of a normal Flosstube video in terms of the coverage of topics, but I do have one. My first video has a little bit more of an introduction about me, how I started stitching. I show off my 3 favorite finishes of all time. And then my second video is a whip parade. So all the projects that I've worked on so far through the end of July 2023. So that would help folks get an idea of the kinds of things that I like to stitch. So with that, today is going to be just a normal Flosstube video. I had thought about doing a finished parade and actually had filmed a finished parade and then decided I'll just wait till the end of the year and do that. So this is just going to be your usual, Flosstube. I have some fully finished items. I have one finish, some whips, some new starts, a little bit of haul. I've got some plans for fall stitching. And maybe some, I don't know if there'll be life updates. We'll see. We'll see how I feel when I get to the end of the video, if I feel like continuing to chat or if I'm just tired from all of the other things. Yeah, so before I get started, thank you folks for all of the comments and the messages and the shout outs on Flosstube as well as Instagram. It's been, I really appreciate it. I wasn't quite sure what would happen when I made a Flosstube video, and I am pleasantly surprised. As someone who has a significant case of imposter syndrome, a lot of the time, it's been nice to get likes and subscribers. I think my partner's done with me running every time somebody subscribes, and I'm like, guess how many there are now? He's done. He was happy. He was my first viewer. However, he will not subscribe because I am messing up his algorithm, apparently. So there is that. I guess I can't, because cross stitch can't compete with golf and poker and video games, which is funny because I also can golf and play poker and play video games, and I have no issues with my algorithms, but it is what it is. Again, thank you for the mentions, the shout outs, the messages. I think I have been overwhelmed with all of that. It's been very kind. I'm going to mention specific folks as we go through the video because some of the things I think will be more relevant with things that I want to show than just to list everybody up at the front, and I'll tag everybody in the comments below as I go. With that, I think we're going to start with fully finished objects. I have quite a few, and then maybe not quite a few. I have a few, and then I'm going to do other stitchy things at the end. I think that sounds like a good plan. We'll find out. All right. So fully finished objects. I have, I think, 6. 1, 2. No, I have 5. I have 5 fully finished objects today, which I feel like is a lot. It's an unusually large number. I think in terms of like the time frame in which I've gotten them done. But that's partly because when I was plotting, like sounds very, very sinister. I don't really plot. I plan. Planning floss tubing and what have you, and organizing all of this stuff, I realized I had a lot of finished projects that weren't fully finished. They were just languishing. And I don't think that's necessarily uncommon among cross stitchers based on the floss tubes I've watched. But it kind of motivated me to make a plan for them. There will be a theme. Elizabeth likes to plan of all of my videos and my life, pretty much. If there's not a list of stuff to do in my day, it's not a good day. So I made a list of all of the things that I had finished and how I thought I might want to fully finish them, and then went about acquiring the things that I would need to do that, or at least prioritizing, making time in my life to do that. So the first one is right here. This is Birdhouse Block by Ink Circles. Not sure if it's going to be better. There we go. We're going to do it on this side. This is a Patreon pattern that they released, I think, in 2021. And I started it sometime in 2022, I think. It is stitched on an under the sea fabric ornament piece. I believe it's called Beach Walk, and it's stitched in Dinky Dyes silks. I had purchased an oops pack. It happened to have colors in it that were basically spot on to the DMCs that were called for, or very, very close. And so, even though this is in silks, if you stitched it in the DMCs, it would be very similar in color. And this is what I call a low hanging fruit FFO. We've got this board with a clip on it. Not a lot of effort required. And all I did, there's a piece of fusible interfacing on the back. And then I did the thing where you pull the threads, so it doesn't then further unravel. I'm sure there's a name for that, but I call it the finish where you pull the threads. So, and then, yeah, look at that. It's done. So that was very motivating. This is now out of the to finish pile and is sitting out in the dining room with the rest of the bird stuff, and it's done. Wonderful. So next FFO is this one. This is Halloween Pumpkin Silhouette 2. Look at it, how cute it is with that little bat and those little mushrooms. This is Cute Patterns by Maria. I stitched this as part of Stitch for Ukraine. It's stitched on 32 count Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers, Lugana, in, I believe it's called April Showers Bring My Flowers. It was a fabric of the month. I am tilting it because of the shadow, so you can maybe see the colors better. It's really pretty. And I just thought the color of the fabric and the colors of the DMC just complemented each other. And then I framed it in this kind of bigger shadow box so you could see more of the fabric. And this is just clearance rack, Marshalls, I think. I think this was $3. And it probably has some awful Christmas stuff on it. Or it was damaged. Sometimes they're damaged because they sit on the shelves for so long, but if you're going to cover them up, they're perfect. So $3, also low stakes FFO. I foam board, batting, laced it, all done. So can't wait to put this out for Halloween. All right, FFO number 3 actually took a little bit more effort. Also a frame. This is from Home Goods. It was gold originally. I painted it with some black craft paint to make it look a little dirty, a little more old. And because this is black and it's got some gold in it, I think it just goes really nicely together. I'll put it up closer. I will say my paint job was intentionally sloppy and messy. I basically put the paint on, took a paper towel, scrubbed some off here and there. That was it. It was very, very high skill. Very high skill. This is stitched and all the called for DMC, with the exception of the black, is Raven by Forbidden Fiber Co. And some of the yellows are the étoile versions instead of just the regular DMCs. And this is the Witchy Stitcher Witchcrafts. I think I did not say that. I fully finished this. I already had all the things, but then the hashtag Stitchy for Witchy was coined by a number of folks to support the Witchy Stitcher, who is having some health issues. And so FFOs for Witchy is not quite as clever as Stitchy for Witchy, but I figured if anyone didn't know what they wanted to stitch, maybe they should see this on the gram, and maybe they would go purchase this one. I saw a lot of gorgeous Witchy Stitcher projects started and finished over the last week, so that's really exciting. So there's that, FFO number 3. And my last 2 FFOs are finished very, very similarly. Excuse me. In that I purchased frames from a company called Modern Hoopla. They design frames that you can basically pop a finished hoop into, like just your normal. Let's see if I have one. Actually, I'll just show you with this one. I don't know why I'm grabbing an empty hoop when I have this right here. And then you can just take that hoop out and then put a new one in the frame interchangeably for basically forever. Or you could probably make it permanent, but that's not the point of them. So this is Garden of Dreams by Barbara Anna Designs. This was a stitch along in 2021. You can still get this pattern, I believe. I loved her. I think it's the green. I love this. I think is that DMC 733. She's just beautiful. I loved stitching. I loved every minute of stitching this. And then she says that in a box for 2 years because that's the way we do things. And so I finally purchased this frame from Modern Hoopla, and she is just popped in the back. I'm going to pop her out just so you can see how this is not an ad. They have no idea who I am, how cool and easy this is. But basically, here's your fully finished hoop finish. And I just put some green fabric on the back. And I mean, she'd be perfectly fine hanging out like that too. And then the frame, it's got command strips on the back because that's how she's hanging on the wall right now. So you can just ignore those. Those don't come. And there's this is where the hoop part goes. I don't know. Does this have a name? I'm sure it has a name. But the hoop tightener thing goes in the top. And then you just stick the frame in. And then you wiggle it around until it's the way you want it. Like I'm trying to get the bottom of her, this and this lined up. And then they actually give you these little pieces of cardboard that you just kind of like cram in so that it wedges it in there. And then you have an FFO. Done. Super easy. So and they have different sizes and square ones and hexagons. And then I'm going to show you a round one in a second because I also bought some round ones. So I'm going to put her over there. So in 2022, Lindy Stitches had a club called the Bird Crushed Club. And I was a member. And every month you got a pattern of a bird. She had collaborated with an ornithologist who, maybe not an ornithologist, but maybe just a bird photographer. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe he was both. And so you got the pattern of the cool bird, photos of the bird, stickers, a little bit of bird facts, and a Threadworks floss. And then you could stitch them. So I've stitched 9 of the 12. I'm just going to show you one. This is Long-Eared Owl. I'm showing you this one only because this is the one she's releasing this week. I think she just showed him on her Instagram and maybe on her most recent Flosstube. And so I figured you might want to see someone who actually stitched him in real life. He stitched with all the called for DMC and the Threadworks. And this is Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers. I'm pretty sure this is Aloe from the other side, which I think was also a Fabric of the Month color. And it's a really pretty, light greeny, seafoamy blue. She also had this charted on a very similar color. So there he is, the long-eared owl. And so I've actually FFO or finished all of the birds in the same hoop. And then I bought 2 of these frames. I was thinking about what I was going to do with all these wonderful birds. Probably I'm not going to necessarily hang them all up at the same time, but it would be nice to have a frame, and now I can pop them all out or pop them in and out as I want a different bird on my wall or seasonally, or I don't know. They're done, but they're finished. That's the important bit, is they are FFO'd now. That's 9 FFOs just by taking these little guys, putting them in frames, and buying this frame. Done. So I'm calling that a win. But yeah, Long-Eared Owl, Lindy Stitches. The pattern, I believe, is now available, or is available aftermarket. I'm not after that Nashville. No, what are they calling it? Needlework Marketplace. Whatever's happening next weekend, that's when this little guy will be available. So that is all of my FFOs, which I feel like was a lot. Don't expect that. Don't expect that every video. But I feel very good about that. And checking those things off the list means that there's more room in my my finish box for more things to get done. So I'm looking around because I don't know where I put my finish. There it is. It's in the pile. So I had one finish, which I actually just finished this morning. In my whip parade, I showed this in my whip parade, and I talked a little bit about it in that I wasn't going to stitch it completely as it was called for. And so it's called Autumn Pin Drum. It is not going to be a pin drum. here's the pattern. This is Kathy Barrick Autumn Pin Drum, and super cute. I just did not like it. I did not like stitching it. And it's not to say I didn't like it. I didn't like stitching it. Although I will say stitching it this morning was lovely. I don't know what it was. Maybe I was just in a weird funk. Had nothing to do with the pattern or the colors or Kathy Barrick. Kathy Barrick is a gem. If you haven't watched the most recent Flosstube with her and her daughter Liz Matthews, you should, because it's hilarious. That's all I'm gonna say. Go watch it. But anyway, I decided I don't need a drum. I didn't want to finish it. I did the math. This will fit in a 5x7 frame as is. And so all I did was, what should have happened is you should have stitched half of this. So there should be another tree on the other side of the house, and then half of this urn with the pumpkin. And then the urn with the pumpkin is what you would seam together to make the drum. And all I did was basically do this so it was one thing, and then I had to add an extra one of these little motifs just so there was something along the entire bottom. And you can see I've got all this fabric because I believe, based on what I have, which is the actual called for fabric and floss, I must have bought it fully kitted up or a kit from somebody when it came out. Because I don't know why. I don't even know if anyone sells fabric that is exactly this size. So that must have been what I did, or we're going to assume that's what I did. Who knows? So yeah, this is a finish. I'm very excited. It's got 2 little owls on it. It's cute. It's fall. I'm going to pop it into a little, probably square black frame, and we're going to call it good. So you might see that as an FFO in my next video. Maybe, or it might be a year from now. Who knows? Who knows? All right, I'm starting to lose my voice a little bit. So hopefully that doesn't go out, because I have a few more things that I'd like to show you today. So let's move on to WIPs, my works in progress this month. The first one I want to show is this one. She is, you know her, you love her. She's Dark Queen of the Earth. And I'm done with 8 of the 12 parts, but I'm not done with them in chronological order. I'm done with part 7 and 9. But I have not stitched part 8 because 8 is the head and the hair, and I have not decided what to do with the head and the hair yet. But she looks really good. All right. So I was watching Cam the Stitcher, who kindly shouted me out on her last video. She also stitched Dark Queen, and she did a really cool like deer skull head conversion, which very cool. And she had also mentioned a couple of other folks who finished their Dark Queens, and they've done various faces. And so I was really grateful for that, to watch that video and see all those folks that she also shouted out, because I don't know what to do with the face. And so I saw, I think it's Wild Woman Crafts face. She did a really nice job of combining features. And then Lunar Witch Stitchery also has finished theirs, and it looks beautiful. So it was, yeah, I think I have an idea of what I want to do with her. And so maybe she'll have a head next month, but no promises. Oh, and the other thing is who Wild Woman Crafts had all the beads, and she did the flower conversion. Or there were, you had a choice between flowers or orbs, and the flowers with the beads look amazing. So I started stitching a flower. That's all I got done yesterday. But I'm really excited to see the flowers. So I think I'm going to skip ahead and stitch all the flowers, and then go back and keep adding all of the other tree bits and whatnot. But there she is, Dark Queen of the Earth. Autumn Limb Stitchery. This is stitched on the called for Under the Sea fabric, whatever the green colorway was, and all the called for DMC. I made no changes. So yeah. All right, WIP number 1. I try to stitch on her for a few hours at least every Saturday, because otherwise I'm worried that she's never going to get done. So she gets a little bit of love every week. And yeah, my next one. So once a month, I like to work on something that is, not, I don't know how to describe this. I call them craftivism pieces. So something like Descent, which is, Elizabeth doesn't know her direction. Something like this. This is a little bit political. It is political. It's not a little bit. It is. I mean, if you see someone rocking a Descent collar, you know what they think. I like to stitch pro-choice pieces. What else? My Stitch for Ukraine pieces, something that's not holiday or what have you. So there's that. I try to do that once a month for a few days. This one is by Noctiflora Designs. This is Be Queer, Do Stitchcraft. If I remember, I will put a photo of what this looks like here. There is one in my whip parade. This is stitched on Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers, Razzmatazz, also fabric of the month. How gorgeous is that? It's just stitched in DMC 310. And then this is a variegated classic colorworks that I think is called, I don't know what it's called, Auntie D or something like that. Auntie something. I don't remember. Anyway, it's just a blue purple variegated. That's the important bit. And this was part of the charity bundle that Starlight Stitchery and the Stitchers Collective had in the month of June for $50. No, for a $10 donation, you got all of the patterns. And this is the one that I've started so far. So it's got like what's here is repeated over there, and then it says Stitchcraft at the bottom. So I need to get this finished, but I try to stitch on this 1 or 2 days a month, or at least one of these pieces 1 or 2 days a month. This was this month's piece. I have a bag of those things, of those projects ready to go whenever I feel inspired or there's some particularly bad news or, good news to celebrate. All right. Next is, so in August, I also like to focus on a theme, if you will, every month. I'm not necessarily very good at following through on said themes because I do stitch whatever I want, whenever I want. But in August, I feel like August is gardening to me, or it feels like I should stitch on gardening related things. I don't know if it's because fall's coming and my flowers, my flower beds are usually in full crazy, gorgeous, riotous, bloom in August. And then also like fall, you can feel that fall is on its way, right? The days are getting shorter. It's getting cooler in the morning. And like, it's just a month in which I want to celebrate my garden. And so I think my next 2 pieces are both plant related. So this is one of them. This is Teresa Kogut's Come to the Garden. I will put a picture in of the finished pattern. I think I spent 2 days on this, and all I did was work on this bottom border. These motifs, they don't look too fancy, but they're a lot of counting and they're a little bit intensive. And then I started on this little basket of blue. I think I did a word. Maybe I did a word. I don't remember now. Yeah, I think beat wasn't in there. But yeah, I really, really like this. This is all the called for. And this is, I think this is 40 count affogato by Fiber on a Whim, which is just a really beautiful neutral. And I'm really excited about this. I started in the middle and worked my way over here. I think I did the middle, I did the butterfly, and then I went down. And now I'm going to go back across the bottom and then up. And I know I did not leave myself very much margin there. It is what it is. It'll be fine. It will still be frameable. So, super pretty. All right. Put that back in the bag. Next, so I mentioned Stitchy for Witchy when I was showing my Witchcrafts framed piece. I also stitched on 2 Witchy Stitcher patterns that I had as well. This is the first one. I'm going to put a picture here. This is Poisonous Plants. This is just a regular pattern that's available on her website. You'll see that the called for is black fabric. I didn't have any black fabric that I liked when I wanted to start this. And so I'm stitching this on not black. Excuse me. This is Forbidden Fiber Co. Toasted Coconut, which is just a really pretty neutral. Forbidden Fiber Co. has some really beautiful neutral fabrics. I'm in their Fabric of the Month club as well, and they rotate between like a neutral and I don't want to say they're bright, but something with color in it that's not like tan or beige every other month. And so this was, I don't remember when I got this, but I will show you. I just got my fabric for this month as well, and it's also a nice neutral. But isn't that really pretty? And so I've just started stitching the little flowers in. I think this is Wolfsbane. This is a Bleeding Heart. I don't remember what this one is, but they're all poisonous plants, which who doesn't love a poisonous plant? The only changes I've had to make were, is basically here right now. So far, it's just this word, the phrase poisonous plants is, I stitched it in 310. It's in like a light color. I don't remember what it is, but it doesn't show up on this fabric at all. And so it's fine it's fine here in these leaves, but just to actually be able to read the words, I needed to change it. So, but yeah, that's where I am so far. And this is actually super, super fast to stitch because there's not a ton of stitching in these, in each of these flowers. It's really just the counting that takes up most of your effort, I think. At least for me, it does. To make sure they're spaced correctly. But I think it'll be done pretty quickly. All right, and then I had, that actually, let's back up here, Elizabeth. Those were all my whips. And then I have one more pattern or one more project, which is a whip, but it was also a new start. So for Stitchy for Witchy, I started a new thing. Photo here. This is from their Patreon. This is the Stitcher's Grimoire. I'm stitching, she showed two mock-ups, one in like on neutral fabric, like a light color, and the one on a green. And I'm stitching mine also on a green. I believe this mock-up is XJU Designs Elixir. I'm stitching mine on something a little bit grungier. This is Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers, 16 count Lugana. This is called Autumnal Orchard, which, let's back up. Look at that. Look at that. All right. It's not super exciting yet. So I decided to stitch most of the black first before I start putting in all of the cute little bits. So this is all in, this is Forbidden Fiber Co. Raven, which is just a nice variegated black. I don't know if you can really see, but I guess is this Mothman? Mothman's in because he was all in black. Yeah. So I worked on this this weekend as well. And yeah. All right. So in addition to stitching over the last couple weeks, I also participated in some stitchy related things. Last weekend was Common Threaded Stitcher, which is like a online social Instagram related bonding experience, if you will, for cross stitchers. And so I participated in that. I also, you've seen some of the Stitchy for Witchy things that I posted, and then I went to a stitching meetup. So for Common Threaded Stitcher, I posted, I think, on most of the prompts. I have strong feelings about social media, maybe not strong feelings. It's just that it feels like a lot of work sometimes. And I'm not sure what the gain is, but it was nice to be part of the community and see what other folks were working on and the designers they liked. I think that the Instagram algorithm change has changed Instagram in general for the worse, but I think in terms of like participating in activities like that and even just using hashtags for stitching is you only see the ones that get the most likes or the folks that have the most followers. You don't see all of the things. Like I like to use Instagram hashtags to find, new things, right? Or folks that are stitching, traditional sampler X on some super funky fabric with different with floss that is unusual, not the same, folks who are stitching it completely as called for. As an example, or to find, new folks to follow because they're stitching interesting things and they're stitching the same designers that I am. So I think the Instagram algorithm change, and I don't probably think I'm alone in this opinion, has negatively affected how folks can interact on Instagram. Yeah. So I did participate and it was nice, but again, also, at some point all of the same folks floated to the top, and um I feel like that's really frustrating for folks that don't have a ton of followers. I'm not saying I have a ton of followers, but um which I don't think I do in the grand scheme of things. I have a few, but um it's unfortunate for creating communities the way that the algorithm now shows things to folks. Um and yeah, there is that. Uh but I did get to go to a stitchy meetup. So my local online needle workshop, they're local to me, so even though they're online, they are literally 20 minutes away, is the Starlight Stitchery. They used to have a brick and mortar in Corvallis, Oregon. Now they're completely online, and they have partnered with a local coffee shop called Sidekicks by Pastega, and they're doing second Saturday stitching. So if you're in the middle Willamette Valley, I don't know what we're, Corvallis, Oregon, Lebanon, Philomath, even Salem, maybe even Eugene, every Saturday, or every second Saturday, in Albany is the stitching meetup. And it's this cute, tiny little coffee shop, probably could fit maybe 20 folks comfortably. They have delicious food and coffee, and the ladies from Starlight Stitchery bring a little pop-up shop, which I shopped at. Um, and it was super nice. So if you're in the area, follow Starlight Stitchery on Instagram, and they always post when it's going to be happening. It's really nice, and I think one of the other nice things about it is like the variety of stuff that people bring. I worked on my Stitcher's Grimoire. And someone was working on like a Ukrainian inspired cross stitch piece that was very traditional looking. There were some holiday pieces. There was a lady who was doing, I think it's called slow stitching. If I can, I'll put a picture of what I mean up here. But you basically you use different fabric and or embroidery stitches to create like a scene or something or a piece of art. There's a company out of Australia, Waddle. I think they're called Waddle and Loop, and they sell kits. So I'd made some purchases from the pop-up shop that the Starlight Stitchery ladies brought, and one thing I got was this cute little sticker. It says cross stitch makes everything better, which we all know is true. And then I got a pattern that I'd been eyeing for a hot minute. So excuse the crinkle for half a second because it's in a bag with the fabric that I picked out for it, but it's this one. This is Enchanted Quaker by Luminous Fiber Arts. I'm a sucker for a Halloween Quaker. I realize this is the fourth one. I've stitched one completed. I have two that I'm currently working on, and this is number 4. And so because it's all here together, I'm just going to talk about the plan for this. I have it kitted. This is the fabric. This is hand dyed by Rolanda in Dusk, which is super pretty. I think it's reading a touch more green on here than it is in real life, but it's really pretty. They had called for Vintage Stormy Night, which is also this bluish gray. And I thought, actually, I should just take it out. I had this in my stash, and I'd actually thought about stitching this on purple. I have this really beautiful piece of Fiber on a Whim Heather, which is gorgeous. And I mean, I'll put anything on purple that I can. But then I looked at this and I looked at that, and I was like, you know what? I this was a good choice too. So look at that. Isn't that beautiful? I think this is going to be great. And then I decided, well, right now I've decided, I don't know if this is going to be the case, but today, right now I'm leaning towards not stitching it with black. She called for Classic Colorworks Black Coffee. It takes 8 skeins. I'm not sure I want to buy 8 skeins of fancy floss for this. Not that it's not gorgeous, but I think I've already committed to this gorgeous fabric. I think I'll solid color. Just use something DMC. And so right now, this is what I'm thinking. I had 2 skeins of this in my stash. So this is DMC 310. And I think I'm going to stitch a couple practice things on the edge just to look at coverage, because this is a 32 count. And I think if I stitch this 2/2 on 32 count, even if this blends in a couple spots, it will stand out enough. I think, yeah, I think that'll look really nice. So this is in the kitted up pile. It might get started this year, but I have a lot of plans for Halloween stitching, so I don't know that's in the list. The other things that I got in haul this month, I got another sticker. So I'm in this Witchy Stitchers Patreon. I'm in the level where you get swag. This is a sticker that we got for this quarter. It says, words are not my strong suit today. Wouldst thou like to cross stitch? So I have a bunch of these stickers because I've been in their Patreon since it began. So, I mean, nothing goes together like a cross stitch makes everything better sticker and a wouldst thou like to cross stitch sticker, right? I think this basically kind of sums up my personality. Creepy. Also, I like pink. Anyway, sorry, that was random. Okay. I also am in 2 Fabric of the Month clubs, which I think I've definitely mentioned, and you can probably guess based on the fact that the bulk of the stuff that I stitch on is from one of these. So this is the Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers fabric. This was the August fabric, or is this is the July fabric, but I got it like the first week of August. It's called Dragon's Tears. I love that they just come with these little sleeves because there's no bags, there's no crinkling. They're really easy to put back together, but look at that. I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but isn't it beautiful? I get the Lugana because when I joined, I wasn't sure if I wanted to buy a bunch of linen or be a linen stitcher. I think I don't regret that choice by any means. And it's nice to have Lugana to stitch on and linen to stitch on for whatever the mood strikes. Yeah. And it's so pretty. Look at that purple. I don't know what I'm going to stitch on it, but I think it will be great for, actually, I think it might be good for some like really cute, I don't want to say cutesy, but like more monster, like Halloween. I have 5 nieces and nephews, so I like to stitch like more kid related things. I think this might be a good choice. I don't really stitch fancy ladies or mermaids, so I do think it might be a good mermaid fabric, but I'm not a mermaid stitcher or a fairy stitcher, so that's not going to happen. More than likely. And then this is this is Corn Silk Forbidden Fiber Co. This is 36 count linen. And this is, I think I mentioned earlier that they rotate between a bright and a not bright, or I don't know if bright's the right word. Actually, let me get the month before because it's right here in the bin below me. So last month was this one. No. I think it was called Americana. Yeah, it was Americana. And so I would say this is cool. This is like it's red and blue mottled, which gives it a little bit of like a purple, which I like. But you can see like you get, these are two different things, but this is still pretty muted. I mean, compared to Dragon's Tears, yes. Compared to this, no. So that was my fabric this month. I'm also in a floss club through Stitch New England. They have a classic Colorworks floss of the month. I already put them away, and I'm not getting them back out. But whatever the next 6 colors were, they were lovely. I get that every month. I'm going to try to get the whole collection, and then I'll move on to something else. Yeah, so plans for the next few weeks. We are going to Utah this week. My partner has a work thing. I decided that I was going to join, and we are going. The main trip is to Park City, but then he added on a quick trip to Ogden, and I was like, oh, whatever, I don't care. And then I was like thinking the other day, I'm like, wait, there's a cross stitch store in Ogden. Shepherd's Bush is in Ogden, Utah. And conveniently, it is a 2-minute walk from our hotel. So I will be doing some shopping this week. because it's been a long time since I've been in a cross stitch store in real life. I don't live that far from Acorns and Threads. It's about an hour and 20 with traffic. But I have not, I think I've not been since I went to Acorn Gatherings earlier this year. So I'm due for some shopping. Probably not fabric. I have a lot of fabric, but I've heard that Shepherd's Bush kits with their in-house patterns are super cute. So I would like to pick up a couple of those. I've seen some folks stitch those. And I don't know what else they might have in the store, but I just kind of excited to go to a store. So that's going to be happening this week. And in terms of new starts or other stitching, I usually plan those monthly, and I haven't plotted out September at all yet, except that I'm probably going to stitch a lot of Halloween and fall things. And I did spend an hour or so, actually it was more than an hour, Friday night, doing some planning. I'm going to pop a picture in here of the pile that was on the table. And so I have kitted up a bunch of things that are like that I'd like to stitch. I went through all of my magazines and picked out some things, and then some patterns that I've just been sitting around waiting, to get started, to be next in the queue. So I'll probably have more about that in my next video, just because I haven't quite figured out what I want to do there yet. I have one more whip that y'all did not see. It is going to be a gift. I have to get it finished this month. So that is first on the list in terms of finishing. It's almost done. I have the frame. It should not be a problem to get it finished in a timely manner, and I just need to do it. And then, I'll work on Dark Queen on the rest of the Saturdays this month. So I think is there one more Saturday? Just one more Saturday. So Dark Queen will get another day. I will probably pull out a project for the 25th. Actually, it's a Saturday and we are going to be traveling. So at some point I will pull out my Christmas project. I do like the idea of stitching on something Christmas related or winter themed on the 24th and the 25th of the month. And so right now I'm working on Hello from Liz Matthews, Second Day of Christmas. So I will pull that out. Other than that, that should get me through Labor Day weekend. And then all of the fall and Halloween stitching will start in earnest. Not that it hasn't been all year, but I will do some more of that. I have some more FFOing to do. I have 2 more frames I purchased for some Halloween pieces that I finished. And so I want to get those framed so they're ready. So I'll work on that. And then I think that's it. I know there's some other like big stitch alongs that are coming up, but I don't stitch samplers really. So I probably won't have anything. Well, Come to the Garden is a sampler, I suppose. And so maybe I'll pull that out one day for sampler September. But I have never stitched a reproduction sampler. I don't think that I likely will, unless there's one that just has something on it that I can't live without. And I know a lot of folks are doing the back to school sale. I have considered kitting something up for that, and we'll see if I get motivated this week when I'm in Utah at Shepherd's Bush, because that would be a great opportunity to find something. If I were going to do that, there are 2 big things that I would like to. There are 3 big things actually that I would like to stitch, and they are Modern Folk Embroideries 2021 Fruits of Plenty Sale, Pandemics by Long Dog, and Halloween from Hawk Run Hollow. So if I get motivated to start something and participate in that, I would stitch one of those. I think those all qualify as big ass projects. They 100% do. And they've just been sort of sitting on the someday I'd like to stitch that list, but it's so big. Will I really want to stitch it? I think the answer is 100% yes. I just also have, like most of us, 80 million other things that we'd also like to stitch. And so not yet. So those are my plans. Shopping at Shepherd's Bush. I've got a secret stitch to finish and contemplating back to school. And then just getting prepped for all the Halloween and fall things that I want to stitch. Oh, one more thing actually that I do want to start is I purchased the Lola Crow Cross Stitch Greenhouse of Oddities sale. I think it's called Greenhouse of Oddities, right? Everyone stitched. So many folks stitched it. I wasn't going to stitch it, and then I just couldn't resist. I mean, it has poisonous plants in it. I'm a plant scientist. Darwin, folks, Darwin. Not that I don't love George Washington Carver, because what he did with the peanut was pretty impressive, but I do love my Darwin and the peas. So I with the final piece of the pattern, there was a freebie, which is super cute. And I think realistically I could finish the freebie. A cute little, it's a carnivorous plant terrarium. And so I think I'm going to add that to my my September, October stitching this year, because it's pretty small, and I think I could get it done. And then I will work on Greenhouse of Oddities. Maybe that'll be my Halloween star or something. We shall see. We shall see. All right, now I'm just rambling. I clearly did not prepare for the plan section, so you guys just got a little stream of consciousness in terms of what's running through my brain, and you're welcome. I don't know. Thank you so much again for sticking around. If you've stuck around this long, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I think that I will be back in probably 2 or 3 weeks. I don't really have a plan for a schedule. I'm just going to be honest. I don't know. I'm going to post these when I feel like I have something, when I have some stuff, and then hopefully I won't have too much stuff. And I don't know what that's going to look like yet. I originally thought monthly, but now I feel like 3 weeks might be more reasonable. I do stitch a lot, just because we are, we have a puppy. And while I do have a pretty intense full-time job, I stitch to relax, and that happens a lot. So, yeah, I don't know what I'm saying now. Anyway, oh, I know what I want to do. Crap, no, I have things to do before I leave. I have totally forgot to mention a couple of folks that I really wanted to mention. All right, so I am so sorry. I have thank yous to give, and those are more important than my random planning. Okay, so let's see. A few folks sent me some really nice messages and left some really nice comments, and then also mentioned me in their FlossTube videos. I want to make sure I thank them, because I mean, y'all made my day, my week, my month. I don't know. Was just absolutely thrilled. So the very first person to mention me in their YouTube video, hang on, I'm pulling up my little thing so I make sure you call you out correctly, was a nice lady named her YouTube channel is Gammy Stitcher, and she was the very first person to mention me in one of her videos. So thank you so much. I watched your whip parade. It was lovely. It's very nice that you shouted me out. Thank you so much. Then I think I already mentioned this, but Cam the Stitcher, she had put, she was talking about comfort watches, and I was absolutely blown away that I was included in that. I totally get what she's saying. Sometimes, I mean, I think we all maybe feel this way, or maybe we don't, but at some point you feel like these folks, right? You might just be a voice and some pretty gorgeous stitching on a FlossTube channel, but after 2 or 3 years, I feel like, you do want to hear about what folks are up to and what have you, and it's just comforting to let them into your world. No, I don't know what I'm saying. It's just comforting to listen to folks talk about their stitching, and especially if they have something interesting to say, beautiful things to show. Sometimes, honestly, there's some folks, your voice, I just like the way your voice sounds, and it's nice to listen to you talk about things. And it could just be, the weather, and showing the beautiful picture stitching is just a nice bonus. So anyway, comfort stitching, FlossTube watching. I totally get that that's a thing. So thank you, Cam. Also, thank you. I found some number of new floss tubers from the folks that you mentioned, particularly those who have finished their Dark Queens. So thank you for that. Cam, that was Cam the Stitcher. Sorry. Cross Stitch Kate sent me a really nice message on Instagram. I've been watching her since she started her channel. And then she mentioned me in her most recent floss tube, which was super nice. She had some beautiful FFOs this week. You should go check them out. She had a prairie schooler that was very nicely framed, and then this cute little pillow by something about thistles that was absolutely adorable. So her, and then a couple folks made some comments, and I found some new floss tubes that I hadn't heard of before that way as well. Someone, let's see, who did I watch? Hold on. I'm scrolling. Lit Cat Stitches also had a really lovely whip parade. Very nice to watch their channel as well. And a lady named Karen, we had a nice conversation about one of the whips in my whip parade, the Home is Where No Pants Are. Her husband is also a believer in putting on the comfy pants when they get home from work. And yeah, it was just super nice. So I think I followed a ton of new people on FlossTube and as well as on Instagram, and folks who are stitching things that are more like the things that I stitch, as well as completely different things that I'd never seen before. Also Cinematic Stitcher Michaela. We lives the sack life. I also live the sack life. There are lots of people who have beautiful bags of stuff. My stuff's also just shoved in a bag, and it might look pretty on the outside, but inside it's a jumbled mess. So there is that. On that note, I'm a bobbin girl. Fancy floss I tend to leave on the skein, but DMC goes on a bobbin. I quite frankly don't know how you all put stuff on floss drops, especially when you've got, thread this long and it isn't just a tangled, ridiculous mess, because I can barely keep, your average length bobbin or floss, like this is not that long. This barely stays organized. And I've seen folks who leave their threads, double this. And bobbins. I like my bobbins. I like my DMC. I got a label maker. Soothes my heart to label things. Anyway, neither here nor there. Folks who love your floss drops, it is gorgeous to see, that beautiful, cascade of colors when you're showing them off on FlossTube, or, probably just looking them in real life and petting them because they're beautiful. So more power to you. I just can't keep that clean. So, all right. Now the rambling, I think, has hopefully ended for the day. Thank you again. I know I started thinking and then realized I didn't thank everybody. So yeah, it's been lovely to hang out with you on the floss tubes. I also realized that the hardest part of floss tube is both the beginning and the end. Not flubbing the intro and then figuring out how to get off of it. You can't just say love you, bye, right? You could, but I'm not going to. So anyway, I hope you all have a great day, week, month, and I will see you when I see you. Have a great day.